Scholars believe that the fir trees described in biblical texts refer to what we know today as cypress trees, an evergreen conifer valued for its resilient timber. It was undoubtedly used in holy buildings and relics. Cypress trees are beloved for their venerable age, prominent height, ornamental shape, and refreshing fragrance. Cypress has an ancient connection to mourning. Its sap resembles tears. Its branches were used as wreaths to mask the smell of death. Well, that's morbid. Many ancient cemeteries were adorned with cypress trees. But think about it. With its roots reaching down deep into the earth and its crown rising high up into the sky, it was and is still a powerful symbol of ascension, renewal, eternity. The cypress tree would be a worthy addition in any Middle Eastern Holy Land display, a nativity scene, and most especially a resurrection display. But finding a village cypress tree is a challenge. There are several quality sets out there, but they are not easily attainable or affordable, so we're just going to make our own cypress trees. The great benefits of making your own trees with this method I'm going to show you is that you can affordably make as many as you want in a short amount of time. So let's get started. I frequent the artificial plant aisles in hopes of converting faux plants into trees for my village displays. When looking for a would-be cypress tree, I needed something fibrous, long and slender. Well, I found this cattail grass. For this project, you'll need your faux plant, as well as the following: a pair of wire cutters or snippers, sewing needle, thread that matches a color in your faux plant, craft glue, scissors, a stand, we'll talk about that later. You also need painter's tape, floral wire, brown acrylic paint, and a small regular paintbrush. First off, remove the fibrous part, this is going to be your cypress tree, from the rest of the faux plant with a wire cutter. It should be connected by a wire or plastic or both. I'll leave at least an inch out of the bottom, and this is for handling and also to serve as your trunk. Depending on which faux plant you chose, it may not stand up straight, and we're going to fix that by reinforcing the trunk with this floral wire. Take your floral wire and press it against the bottom end of your tree. What you're going to do is push it up, weaving it through the tiny branches along the central stem upwards towards the top. Your goal is to stay as close to the central stem as possible, so you may need to twist or bend your tree ever so slightly if your wire hits one of those plastic branch nodule things. When you get up to about 3/4 of the way to the top end of your tree, go ahead and stop. I'm going to gently cut off the excess wire at the end, leaving an inch or two for easier handling. To keep your wire attached to the central stem, the trunk, you'll need to secure the wires together. I'm going to do this by tying it with string. Thread your needle and insert it so that it touches the wire and the plant's stem. What I'm going to do is turn the tree so that my needle and thread is curving around the stem. It's kind of tricky, but you can also move your needle in and out as you go. You're just going to want to have 1 or 2 loops around the stem and the wire with your thread. Once the stem and wire are wrapped with the thread, pull tight and double knot. Do this towards the top and also towards the bottom and maybe in the middle, anywhere else where the wire is pulling away from the stem. You just want the wire to be as close to the stem as possible. You'll notice that little bits of plant are falling off of mine while I'm crafting. It happens with faux plants. You probably won't even notice the loss, but if you are worried, you can set these aside and stick them back in later on. Now we're going to work on the trunk to secure the wire and the stem together. Grab your painter's tape. You're going to wrap tape around both of the wires. This part is also a little tricky. I have found that it's best if your tape has a slight angle where the branches begin to come off at the top of your trunk. So you're just going to wrap your wire and your stem together 2 or 3 times, or until you feel like the wire is completely hidden and secure. You don't want it too thick. It's okay if it wrinkles. In fact, the wrinkles make it look more realistic. Trim off the excess tape at the end, but leave a 1/16 inch or so of wire at the end. This will be used to secure your tree to your stand. Now what you're going to do is paint the painter's tape trunk with the brown craft paint. I usually do one coat, let it dry, then another coat, let it dry. Just make sure that you completely paint over the tape. Once completely dry, you'll mount the tree onto your stand. I prefer to use a blob of leftover plaster. What I'm going to do is take a pair of old scissors and stick one blade into the plaster and twist, which will produce a hole. Since the tree is so tall, a wider, taller, maybe even heavier stand will help it stand straight up and not topple over. You could use a knife or wire, but just be careful whatever you use not to injure yourself, your blade, or your stand. Once you have a hole, dot it with glue and insert your wire and part of your trunk into the hole. Whatever stand you choose, your tree will want to fall over while the glue is drying. Happens every time. Either brace the tree with some drinking cups or add a spot of hot glue to secure it in place. And here are my cypress trees. These trees make a great background since they are so tall and slender. The sky's the limit with your cypress trees, so feel free to customize my basic technique to meet your needs. If you want to vary the tree height, you can cut off the bottoms to shorten or select a taller base to raise up. I like each of my trees to have just a little bit of character, so mine aren't going to be exactly straight bottom to top. Of course, you can straighten your wire to your liking. I hope you enjoy making your cypress trees as much as I do.